Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. All right. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time. Money is the root of all evil, some might say. You know what else people say about money? Some people say a rich man is nothing but a poor man with money. They'll also say greed is not a financial issue. It's a heart issue. A good reputation is more valuable than money. Is it? Is it? I think we're going to have this discussion today. How about a bank is a place that will lend you money as soon as you prove you don't need it. Yeah, see, these are some money quotes because we need to talk about money. Why do we need to talk about money today? Because of relationships, because of broken relationships, and because of distorted reality. That's why. We've got to have this conversation. See, after people stop throwing tantrums on college campuses, in political arenas, on the national scale with what's going on with an invasion in the Middle East, an invasion in Ukraine, like there's just stuff happening everywhere. And once these tantrums, these adult tantrums are over, these dangerous tantrums, these deadly tantrums, once they are over, what we're going to see is people are going to get back to greed, selfishness, money. That's what it's doing. It's already starting to some degree, right? These protests around the U.S. about what's going on with Israel and Gaza and the Palestinian people and Hamas and all of this stuff. And it all comes down to what? Divestment. Why? Because we want you to put money into the things that matter to us. And unfortunately, there's so many coffers now, so many places to deposit this money. I want my money in the form of food. I want my money in the form of property. I want my money in the form of stocks and bonds. I want my money in the form of drugs and addiction. I want my money in the all of these things are about selfishness. Now, does it mean that money leads to selfishness? No, there's one of those good quotes that I read. Greed is not a financial issue. It's a heart issue. These broken relationships that are going on right now, they don't have to exist. Lawsuits. More often than not, lawsuits are a selfish issue. Now, does that mean that every lawsuit is unnecessary? Look, the way that the system works right now, if you don't claim what's yours, somebody else is waiting to claim it in your place. Selfishness. So you have to stake your claim. Somebody doesn't want to spend $1.50. They'd only rather spend $1. Or heck, we've seen this down in California. Well, if I can steal $999 worth of stuff before it's a crime, before I'd spend a night in the jail, then I'm just going to make sure that I look at the tags and I go in and I grab $999 worth of stuff. Come and get me. I can't be prosecuted. Greed. Now, a lot of people are like, well, these Robin Hoods, they're stealing from the rich, the people who have, and they're keeping it for themselves. That's what's happening. They're not giving it to the poor. It's not Robin Hood. You know what else would subside? Divorce. Why? Broken relationships. You know how many, I'm a counselor. Do you know how many times I counsel people through divorce or separation? And one of the primary things they deal with is money. It's also one of the reasons why people won't separate from really unhealthy relationships. Money. They'd rather have the security of the money than rid themselves of the insecurity of an abusive relationship. I've seen it over and over and over. So when I say we're talking about money, we're talking about relationships, broken relationships, and distorted realities all the time. That's like a constant. Whenever you talk about money, there's a constant background of relationships, broken relationships, and distorted realities. And how do we distort our realities? The number one thing about distorted realities, the number one thing is greed, selfishness, placing value on something that should not have the value you place on it. It doesn't sound complicated, right? But when you put it into a practical application scenario, a friendship, a partner, wife, spouse, husband, sibling relationships, it becomes a really big thing. It can exacerbate what's already present. And the weird part is we love to blame money for relational failure. But the reality is, not a reality, the reality is that if you're blaming money for your relational problem, then you're looking at the wrong thing, because money can't create the problem. People create the problem. It's like, I know you've heard me say this like over a year ago, probably, but guns don't shoot people on their own. Money doesn't break relationships on its own. It has to be driven by a relationship issue, not a money issue. It's a person issue. The person behind it is the problem, not the money. So is it wise to blame money for relational failure? No. 100% no. Matter of fact, if you do that, it's the opposite of wise. And you can figure out what that means. Here's the important takeaway for you today, folks. Money is transactional. And though transactions are a part of every relationship, every single one, it's got to be put in the right order. Love can be done unconditionally if it's done first. Will it sway, change some of your transactions if somebody is unhealthy? Yes, because of boundaries. But the love is not negotiable. It's just a matter of whether I love you up close or I love you at a distance. It's not optional if you want to be relationally centric. And why would we want to be relationally? It's our design to be relationally centric. That's why. It's your design. It's mine. This need, this tribal nature, this I need to be part of a group. It's a need, not a want. If you don't have it, you will begin to crave it. And you will begin to do whatever you've got to do at some level to get it. So all these college campuses saying, we demand that you divest. We demand that you hear us. We demand, is that relational? No. Withholding funds or providing funds to Israel or aid to the Gaza Strip, or providing funds and resources for Ukraine. All of this stuff, if it's not being done relationally first, it's a matter of transaction. It's a matter of selfishness. So think about the relationships psychologically. Let's break this down for you for a moment. Psychologically, in your family, if you are throwing a tantrum, your spouse does something you don't like, and so you hit the casino, you throw a tantrum, you spend a bunch of money. Is the problem the money that you spent? It never was the money that you spent. Or you drink too much. Is the problem that you're drinking too much? Well, it might be part of the problem, but it's not about that. It's that you're not talking to your spouse. You're not putting the relationship first. Sociologically, if you put the relationship first, you're going to have much less problems. Not because you're perfect, and not even because you don't make some really big mistakes, but because if you're putting the relationship first, you're going to correct faster. You're going to get back on track. Now, here's the caveat, folks. You cannot put the relationship first if you don't first understand what you stand for. You can't decide if it's Gaza and the Palestinian people or Israel if you don't know what you stand for. You can't decide if it's Ukraine or Russia if you don't know what you stand for. You can't decide if it's mom or dad if you don't know what you stand for. If you're just allying with somebody to ally with them, then frankly, you're the biggest idiot of them all. Because where the wind blows, that's where you'll go. So don't be an idiot. Figure out what you stand for first. It's not about your allies. At some point, I guarantee you in your life, you will have to take a stand against somebody who you allied with. You will have to. Because if you stand for stuff that matters, like love and relationships, if you stand for stuff that matters, truly stand for it, then it's only a matter of time before your best friend fails you, your spouse fails you, your children or your parents fail you. And it's got to be that way. Because that's how you decide where to set boundaries, and it's how you decide if you actually stand for something. Do you call yourself a Christian? You're going to have to meet the adversary then. Doesn't mean it's a war. It just means you got to learn to stand for what you say you stand for. Believe in what you claim to believe. That's the way it works, folks. Because why? The lesson comes from a dog. When you enter the home with a handful of cash, is it the money that's making the dog wag its tail? No, it's not, folks. It's you. When you walk in and the dog is genuinely excited, it's you. Relationship first, folks. Understand who you are, and this will be helpful. So when it comes to money, remember, if there's something broken about money, it's not the money that's the problem. It's you. Take a look at yourself. Stop blaming others. Figure out what you stand for. And you will take control of your financial situation. It simplifies it all for you. I hope this helps. Please leave feedback, like, subscribe, send to 20 friends who need this. Get on Rumble, YouTube, watch the video, or at least follow us. That would be helpful. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.